Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Robert Fino, Jason Bible. I am commenting on a post.
Uh-oh.
There's another 1,000-unit apartment complex that is going under.
Going down.
They went from 94% occupancy to 54.
50, I saw that, yeah.
And they already had 5 foreclosures. Let's see. What was the other? Ooh, this is good. Oh, fact, here, they're all so I posted, and everyone else is posting on this guy's thread. They're owed $1.5 million from a construction company.
Yeah, they put a lien on it. I saw that.
It is wild, and it looks like
that would break a construction company too. $1.5 million.
Sounds like they do a lot of commercial construction.
Maybe that's a hard one to swallow.
You just don't let them get that far ahead on you, right?
Hey man, somebody was a good salesperson, right?
I'm just wondering how these LPs do their due diligence, because it's like,
well, I'll tell you how they do diligence. The market's going to go up, so it doesn't really matter what we say, because at the end of the day, we're going to ride that appreciation wave, and everything's going to be great. And then, here comes Brandon, here comes inflation, here comes all this other stuff, and next thing you know, they're coming up against real financing issues, and nobody is a real financier in that.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
They said their taxes went from 40 to 80 million.
Of course, right? I don't doubt it, right? But someone's got to. This is the difference between a professional who's been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years, right? And versus someone who thinks they can get in the game, right?
I find it fascinating. And I hear this from multifamily investors and syndicators and all that. And they'll say, no, Jason, you don't understand. Like, when the market slows down, rents go up. And I'm like, that's never happened in the history of the economy. That's not how that really works. There's a bunch of foreclosures and everybody moves into apartments. Like that's not that one. It's not what that means. If you're losing your house, people in their apartments are losing their ability to pay rent.
Right.
So this is just, it's a fascinating case study to watch. It really is. And I am sure I've met this guy before. In fact, there's another post in here, really interesting, where he basically said, this is from Twitter, the real fun begins when you learn Jay, I won't say his last name, put down an $11 million deposit using funds he swept from cash accounts at his other properties. Operating reserve security deposits, poof.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So that's Ellington Management has started the foreclosure process on this particular property in less than 12 months.
They said it was a Class E property?
Yeah, I put that in there, and
means.
Ryan's like, I don't know what that is either. And Ryan's been doing commercial a long time, and he's like, I've never heard of a Class E piece of property. But it was a piece of junk over there by Hobby, if you guys are familiar with that side of town.
Oh, remember we were going to give that, we could have bought that apartment that we would rent by the hour over there.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
Somebody brought us like a 20 unit. And they're like, you can rent it by the hour. I'm like, wait a minute, it's even shorter than a hotel? What are you guys doing over there?
That is short-term stay.
I'm like, what are you guys doing? 1,062 units, 922 Nathaniel Street, 3 miles southeast of Hobby Airport. And that's not a great side of town.
Did they get into it before COVID, 2019?
They bought it less than 12 months ago.
Oh.
That's what's crazy about these deals.
They should have known.
That's how crazy these deals are. They're getting foreclosed on, and like literally from
1 year
consummation of the deal to foreclosure.
So they're still on the bridge.
Yeah, this is their bridge financing.
Wow.
I assume it's their bridge financing because it's not. I don't believe it's agency backed.
We're making assumptions based off of one article, but yeah, that's
EMG Transfer Agent, a subsidiary of investment firm Ellington Management Group, is foreclosing due to missed payments in December and January and allegations of neglect. It is the fifth in a series of multifamily distress assets from the Irving Investment.
They foreclosed because the other ones got foreclosed. They got nervous and then found the reason and they pulled it, right?
Well, because they all have cross default,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
So what's interesting is the other deals were the same way. Most of them were less than a year old. So I'm like, this guy a year ago is 2 guys, and they're raising hundreds of millions. This isn't like some dude at the RIA Club
$150,000
driving a Honda Accord, clapped out Honda Accord or a 90s Camry and raising $50,000.
Right.
These guys are slick. Like, you're not raising that kind of money. I'll tell you right now, if you just drop into an LLC bank account somewhere, a couple $100 million, you're getting phone calls. Like, your private client folks are like, if they don't know you, you're getting phone calls. So
interesting.
You're getting calls from the IRS. You're getting called because I think it's terrorism and all that.
I mean, this
stuff,
is just the stuff that rates to make the news.
right.
There's hundreds of other of these deals that just don't rate at all to make the news, right?
That's what I've told people. I said, you don't understand. There are hundreds of these in Houston that are going under. And I was actually having a conversation with my parents. They want a little update on the syndication.
Yeah, everyone does.
Yeah, everybody wants one. So I said,
well, as soon as that article comes out, everyone wants an update, right?
Right. So we get, let me put it this way, for all you guys that are screwing up, every time you get foreclosed on and it makes the news, we get 100 phone calls.
All those phone calls.
So I'd appreciate it if you guys stop getting, is everything all right over there? What are you guys up to? Well, and this is how I love to start the conversation. See, they went from 97% occupancy to 50 in a year. And I'm like, we all bought them with 0% occupancy.
Yeah, we're the other way.
So I'm like, there's no surprise there, right? So we bought them with 0 and we're at 50, 60 in some, we're at 100 in others. So it's kind of funny because I'm like, no, we're doing the exact opposite. We bought a big piece of junk to begin with. There were no surprises there. Well, I mean, there's still surprises, but you didn't have half occupancy in less than 12 months. I don't know how you do that.
Well, if you're doing construction, you shut them out.
That's true.
Yeah, you just shut them down. You're rotating the whole, right? That's kind of what they want to do on that one over by the South Loop one we had. Remember that we looked at 100 and we were going to have to go building by building by building by building, right? And that's risk. That's a big risk there. All right. Let's let's talk about some clarity for investors.
Okay.
Beginning investors. And I'll kind of lead this here. So I was just on, you heard me on that Zoom call with legitimately guys, an internet influencer, right?
He did, before COVID, he was doing what, 100, 150 keynotes a year. You guys, pretty crazy.
But new to real estate.
Yeah.
Right? Just asking the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And just getting bombarded because there's just so much noise out there, right?
Yeah.
And everything sounds great to him.
Yeah, and the problem is you start Google searching like, well, I was on Bigger Pockets and read this, and then I was, and I'm like, I can give you my own experience on that Bigger Pockets forum. But anyway, so it's like, I read this, and there was this article, then I listened to this podcast. And, and I always ask, and I hate to say this, but the older I get, it makes the most sense. It's like, would I trade my life for what this person has?
Yeah.
You do need to shoot the messenger. Like, what is it you're really doing? And then you go, nah, I'm not interested in that.
And the question we always ask is, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Right? And most people don't know.
Yeah.
That's a bigger problem, right? They don't know what they're trying to do. Hey, I got all this money. I don't know what to do.
I want to make $1 million passive. Okay.
Okay, great. You can go get 10 million and we'll make that happen.
Yeah,
like that, right.
Yeah. You need 10 million bucks. You can make $1 million passive.
No problem. Yep.
Maybe 7 million, but
it depends. Yep.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we break it down. It's like, hey, how much time do you have a week?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question I ask. Well, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, well, let me ask it differently. How many extra hours do you have a month? Mm-hmm. Oh, not a lot. Okay, well, then we've just taken active off the board.
Yeah, you're not flipping houses. You're not going to be a landlord.
You're not door knocking. You're not any of that stuff, right?
You're not wholesaling.
That whole world is gone for you.
If you are working and you don't have an hour or two a week, you're
bare minimum. Yeah.
If you don't have an hour or two a week, you're just going to be a lender. You're going to lend your money for syndications and funds because you just don't have the time. And I already know this because there are 900 other shows and podcasts that are on either side of ours that say, oh, you don't need any money and you don't need any time.
You don't need any time. Yeah.
It's mailbox money. I'm like, it is
VA.
once it gets
There's a VA that'll do it all
for you. VA will do everything for you. And I'm like, right. Because all these other really successful businesses just go to the overseas, hire somebody $3 an hour, and poof, I magically have a successful business. I'm like, that's not how it's going to work.
So we would say, hey, if you have less than 10 hours a month, but you do have, some money you want to put to work, then I would be looking at passive deals.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be looking at, and I would be diversified in that too. I wouldn't put it all into like a syndication like we just talked about because those are very risky. Hey, let me just make it really, really clear. Someone who's offering you 12, 15, 18% returns, that's high risk.
Yeah, it's really high risk.
That's very, very high risk, right? So you want the 15%, you're putting your money at risk, right? At high risk. So that's fine if you want to do that, but I wouldn't do all of it. We offer first position and second position notes that have some security behind it based on the ability to foreclose on the property. So there's some of that, and or like we telling people, if you have a no taste for risk at all, well, CDs are at what 3.9, 3.8%.
Yeah, I'd have to look right now. Boy, if you are watching this week the bond market, there are some
crazy.
phenomenal bond auctions right now. The 2-year had a great one. The 5-year had a great one
Yep.
today. 2-year was actually the best almost of all time, which tells us interest rates are going down. That's
Yep.
really what that means. Let's see what CDs are at Navy Federal and FCU. Let's see.
So again, if you have no tolerance for this stuff, hey, you think, hey, next 36 months, we got some fears in the marketplace, whether it's just the stock market
They're
or
still
real estate.
They're still at 455.
So go to Navy Federal, right?
Navy Federal is the largest credit union in the world.
Yep.
They're the Chase Bank. They're bigger than USAA. Like
Yep.
they are the Chase Bank.
4.5%, right?
4.5% all day long.
Nothing wrong with that. Now, is that keeping up with inflation? No. Will inflation eventually come down? Yes. Right. But hey, that's a good place for you. That's going to be protected there in the bank, and you can have some. Is it FDIC insured up to $250,000?
It's the credit union. They have a different term for it.
Yeah,
There's a credit union insurance for it. Actually, here's one at 485.
How many years?
12 months.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
Here's the trick. This is the other thing I'm telling folks. If you look at the spreads, and the one I got into was like 485, 495, something like that. And then they gave me an additional 15, 1.5 bips up to 515, I think, because I've been there for like 25 years.
Yeah.
And it's 15 months. But if you look at their 18-month and their 2-year, the interest rate was like in half. So this is what banks and credit unions are telling everybody. Rates are coming down the next 2 years. We can afford to pay you right now 5, but in 2 years, it's going to be nothing. In fact, let me see if I can see it. Learn more. 6 to 24 months. Let's see here.
So again, if you have less than 10 hours, but you have some cash and you're totally afraid of the marketplace, got lots of fear, then I wouldn't be doing this, right? I would just go right to a CD, just go buy a CD. Now, if you're like, hey, I'm seeing all the syndication problems, I'm getting a little nervous with that, or hey, I've had a bad experience, or hey, I'm okay if I can get 6 or 7%, right? Or maybe even 8%. Then I'd be looking for guys that produce notes, and there are performing notes out there between 6 and 8, and even up to 9%, right? So you go performing notes, that'd be great. Now, if you come back to me and you say, "Yeah, man, I got 25 hours a month, not a problem," like, oh, okay, well, 25 hours a month, you should have more than enough time to be a landlord.
Yeah.
Right.
You need a couple hours a week.
Yeah, you need a couple hours a week. You need to keep an eye on your property. You need to check in with your property managers. So, hey, Rob, I got 25 hours a month. Great. And you got some capital. Let's go buy some products that are pretty close to rent ready. Not a lot of love that need to give in. Get that in your portfolio. And then I will take care of all the tax benefits that you want and start gaining wealth. Now, it comes to the next little division. Do you want to create wealth or do you want cash flow?
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's very few unicorns out there. You're not going to get the tax money. You're not going to get, tax deductions, wealth, and cash flow. That to me is Airbnb or a 4-unit.
I mean, if you want high equity deals with cash flow, you need to start contacting owners directly. You need to start building relationships with agents.
Yeah.
You need to start doing work.
But you're not going to do that with 25 hours a month.
No, you can't do that.
No.
Because here's how the best deals are made. You get a phone call right now from a wholesaler, real estate agent, homeowner, and they're like, I've got a house for sale. It's for sale right now. Can you come look at it? Well, I don't get off work till 8, and then I got to take the kids to cheer. And that's not how that's going to work. I can be there in 15 minutes, and you're signing a contract, and you're getting a stellar deal. That's really the only way it's going to work.
Now, if you came to me and you said, hey, I've got more than 25 hours, I'm kind of semi-retired, or, hey, my spouse works, but I don't really do a lot.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, okay, we're going to go full on active.
Yeah.
Right. Then we're going to do that big game hunting method where we're going to find a property that's in distress. We're going to rehab it. We're going to rent it. We're going to refi it. And then we're going to, as our friend says, rinse and repeat until bald or rich. Right.
Yeah.
Just keep going on that model, because that's going to take, that's a good 10 to 15 hours a week of project management, just making sure everything's in place, understanding where your money is going, watching the books, distributing cash because people want to get paid right away. You probably don't have the terms that we have for our construction. So again, if you're telling me I've got 40 hours, then we can get this stuff done. If you're full on, I've got all the time in the world, and you have money, then hey, that's where I would be doing. I'd be doing some flips. I'd be doing some buy and hold. I might even be doing some Airbnb, which is kind of what we do, right? I'd be putting together a small little asset company, and I'd be buying assets, and I'd be working on private lenders. Now, if you say I have all the time in the world and I have no money, right?
Mm-hmm.
This false narrative out there that tells people if you have no money, you could become a millionaire in a year is nonsense, right?
No.
If you have no money, and no money, there are degrees of no money, right?
Right.
Then I would become a real estate professional, right? I would become a loan officer. I become a real estate agent. I become an inspector if you're a more hands-on type of person.
And I will tell you right now, this is the hardest time to be one of those people.
Yep.
Because inventory is an all-time low. Sales are declining rapidly. There's just not enough property to buy. I mean, the housing market has been in a recession since July of last year. It's awful out there.
Conversely, I would say then the 80-20 rule kicks in, right? The Prada rules, because 80% of those people that had those jobs are out and they're not even looking anymore.
Oh, I agree. I've got an agent I work with. She's adding 5 more people to her team this year. So they're going to double their volume this year. So if you know what you're doing, you can do well.
Yep. Now, this, again, no money, and I'm going to show you this system and how to do this. And you know, most of the things that you're being taught to do at these RIA clubs come from the commercial real estate world. They're not typically or commonplace in the residential world. And because of that, they just become a hard sell, right? Getting an owner finance wrap or a lease option. There's a lot of, or the one I hate the most, I'm going to rent a place and then I'm going to do Airbnb, right? The Airbnb rental arbitrage.
Oh, the Airbnb arbitrage.
Right. You don't need any money. It's like those are.
Let me tell you how worthless those deals are. There's a guy posted on Facebook, one of our groups, and he said, I have a 53 house package of Airbnb arbitrage. And people jumped on him immediately. Oh, you have 53 leases.
Yes.
And there's no upside. Like, other than just the cash flow, there's no. So you're taking on 53 monthly liabilities with the only option you have is Airbnb. Now, he was like pricing this as like a 20 cap or something.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So it was some like ridiculous number. And they're like, so what exactly are we buying?
Right.
Your leases, which are probably going to expire. We aren't going to be able to renew at those same rates.
And your broken furniture.
All your broken furniture, right? It was like, this doesn't make any sense at all. He was just getting bashed like up and down from people.
Well, he believed the other side of it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like, oh, you can go online and sell this stuff. People will buy this. It's 20 cap. I'm like, it's not. There's no asset. There's no underlying asset there. The furniture has no value.
Yeah, the furniture, our joke, it shouldn't even be a joke, but unless it's something really, really rare, all of those goods that you find in a house are down to $1.
Yeah.
We bought the furniture in this building. It's a 30,000 square foot building.
Remember the offer, hey, you can buy all the furniture for $10,000? And we were like,
I can buy it for $1.
I was like, nah, you could just move it all out.
Yeah, you can move it out.
Just get the trucks and get them out.
And they're like, no, you can have it.
You can
have
it.
30,000 square foot of pretty nice furniture, cubicles, like everything.
Our stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, $1. Like, no, we're good. How about $1?
So again, we believe in this business, you're going to need capital, right? For sure. So the whole, hey, you don't need any money to do this stuff is, we can do it now.
Yeah, of course.
But starting out is really, really difficult. And so I would tell you that those odds are incredibly high to be successful with no money in real estate starting out.
Well, here's the problem. It's like, you got no money in real estate. Okay, so I got all the money for construction acquisition. What happens when there's a $10,000 oops?
Yeah.
Or you got to hold it another 6 months. You got no money. I'm like, how does that work?
If you have no money now, you have no relationships to begin with.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So you have none of that to build on.
Here's another way I used to put it is your life is an income statement. Just to make it real simple, it's way more complicated than that. But you have income and expenses, and most people have a fixed income called a job. They get little bonuses and raises every now and then, but really it's a fixed income. So all you have to do is manage expenses.
Right.
So you've done such a poor job at both that that you don't have any money. There's no surplus. Now, it could be you just don't make enough money to survive.
Sure. Certain circumstances, I get it. Yep.
But I also tell people, I'm like, look, all of your best decisions have gotten you to the place you're at now.
Right here.
You need to work harder, more hours, get another job.
Oh, they want less. They want to work less. They want to work less hours.
And here we go. We're going to take your property to a lender, and they're going to go, my God, they don't have 6 months of expenses.
Yeah.
What happens when this thing goes vacant for 2 months?
Well, so I will tell you, if you're still watching this video, for the one person that still hung around, because everyone, we just broke all the hearts and dreams, they've left. Here's the reality.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. The reasonable people go, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. This is what.
Yeah, the reasonable people are like, no, it makes total sense.
Yeah. So again, hey, I have less than 10 hours a month, but I have money. Yeah, I would absolutely be doing notes, right? They're kind of the middle ground between syndications and big funds, or working a CD. And as long as you have access to secure that note by real estate, that's probably a pretty good place for you to start. Or you can stay in that lane, right? There's performing notes out there all the time. If I've got 25 hours and I've got some capital, great, then I will be a landlord. But I wouldn't take on big rehab projects. I would just be able to go ahead and do rent-ready properties. Again, I'll take it. Now, if I'm going to be a landlord and I need cash and I'm not necessarily doing it for the appreciation and the tax breaks, then I would move to Airbnb side of things, or I'd be looking for a 4-unit, right? So 25 hours, money. I need cash flow, then I'm going to do Airbnb. I'm going to do a 4-unit. If I'm just looking to appreciate and take the tax deduction, then I'll do single families and duplexes. If I have 40 or more hours and I have capital, then yeah, you're going to get into it. You're going to take on some harder construction projects, which are going to yield you a lot more equity. We call that forced equity. And you can have a lot more equity when you're done with the your project, and you're good. And if I have a lot of time but I have no money, then I would tell you to become a real estate professional. Become an agent, become a loan officer, inspector, appraiser, somewhere in the business, because deals and contacts will fall to you, right? If you're going to come to me at some event and tell me how you're going to do all these great lease options and owner finance, and I have no money, but I'm going to be this guy and I'm going to hustle, I can tell you that I was that guy, and it has taken me 3 times as long had I just had a good W-2 job, right? So it's a matter of time, it's a matter of effort, it's a matter of resources. That's a quick breakdown for you guys. We're good. We got a meeting next, and
perfect.
Thanks for
watching,
checking in. Oh yeah, like, love, subscribe. I should be doing that at the beginning of the videos. Just hit all those buttons below, and we're good. Check out our couple events coming up. Thanks.